morning, guys. Drew here, on my way to the office. I thought I'd do a quick video vlog about why I think Bernie Sanders is a loser. I kind of touched on this earlier and I want to expand on it. I just think that I'm not saying anything about the man's character. Okay, let me just get that straight. I'm not saying anything about the man's character and who he is as a person internally. I'm not trying to insult him as a person. Okay, but I'm trying to say why he's a loser in his chosen field, in his chosen career, why he's a loser, okay? Bernie Sanders has been in politics for about 50 years. He 25 years in Congress and 25 years in electoral politics. So what do you get? That's 50 years, okay? But to put this in perspective, President Obama was just 4 years old when Bernie Sanders was just getting started. Okay, and you might say, okay, well, President Obama is an anomaly. He's extremely successful. He's highly successful in the political process, or whatever you may come up with. But to me, many of Bernie Sanders' peers have accomplished either just as much or more than him, and they're a lot younger than him. You know what I mean? He's the old man. He's like the dinosaur that hasn't really done much. And my question is this. If such a guy hasn't been able to do much in 50 years, what makes you think that he will do much in 8 years in the White House? I mean, isn't that a logical question? I'm asking you, Bernie Sanders supporters, to use logic. Isn't that a logical question? I mean, don't make an emotional decision here. Isn't that a logical question? I mean, if I were a Democrat, I am not a Democrat. I'm a Trump supporter. I'm a conservative. I'm a libertarian. I'm a Trump supporter. And I think he's the best chance. He's the best shot that we have. But if I were a Democrat, okay, and I really wanted an effective politician, somebody who can execute the goals set out by our party. If I were a Democrat, why would I choose Bernie Sanders over Hillary Clinton? As corrupt as Hillary Clinton is, if I really wanted the ends to justify the means, why would I choose Bernie Sanders over Hillary Clinton? You know what I mean? In fact, as a conservative libertarian that's very pragmatic and very logical, if a Democrat is going to win the White House, I might even suggest Bernie Sanders. And you know why? Humor me here. You know why? I might even suggest him because I know nothing's going to change. So at best, nothing will change. At worst, he's not going to be able to make anything different. So he'll just hold it until a Republican actually comes in and people get frustrated enough with the system that they actually elect a Republican next time. But in total, I'm voting for Donald Trump because I'm against the establishment. So I don't even want an establishment Republican. I want I want something different, and that's what Trump symbolizes to me. But anyway, let's get back to Bernie Sanders. So Bernie Sanders has been in politics for 50 years and he hasn't done much with it. And to compare this, Trump has been in politics for 1 year, and look how much progress he's made in just 1 year. I mean, it's unbelievable. Trump has never been a politician. Look how much ground he's gained. And you could say, okay, well, what about his business career? He's been in business for 25, 30 years, right? Yeah, and he's been in business for 25, 30 years, and he spent those 25, 30 years becoming one of the most recognized, successful businessmen in the world. And what's funny to me is that a lot of Bernie Sanders followers talk about Trump's bankruptcies, right? They talk about his four or five gaffes out of 500 successes, but then they turn around and support a guy who's been a perpetual loser in life, which is Bernie Sanders. I mean, he's been mediocrity and average throughout his entire career. So it's what exactly has he accomplished that would make anybody with a logical sense want to support him? I really honestly think that people are only supporting Bernie Sanders not because he makes them feel comfortable, but because there's a lot of people who haven't accomplished much in life and they want to see. I mean, it would be like their wettest dream to see the government take from people who have accomplished and give it to people who haven't. There's people who have this first place envy where they see somebody winning all the time and they see a group of people winning all the time and they just want those people to start losing. It's like the kind of people, I don't mean to relate this to boxing, it may be a little ignorant, but it's the kind of people who see Floyd Mayweather, obnoxiously winning all the time. And they just want to see him lose so badly because he's so arrogant and such an arrogant winner. They want to see him lose. Me, I'm different. When somebody's winning all the time, I say, how can I do like that person? What is that person doing that I'm not doing? That's the difference. You see what I'm saying? Bernie Sanders supporters, they have a mentality where they get upset at winners. They think that winners cheated to get there. They think that winners screwed somebody to get there. In competition, it's not about really getting screwed. It's more so about, what do you bring to the table? Do you bring value? Do you create value? Are you of value to somebody else? You know what I mean? So, besides that, let's get into his policies, okay? Bernie Sanders, right now, let's get into the contrast. Trump wants to raise tariffs on, international imports from, like, China, for example. And when he does this, first of all, it doesn't address corporate inversion. He's addressing corporate inversion too, but he wants to raise taxes on Chinese imports. You know what that does? That makes American goods more competitive in American markets, because we already have the consumer's market. We have the advantage we have the hometown advantage of the consumer's market. So Trump wants to raise tariffs on Chinese imports because China manipulates their currency to make their imports and their products more favorable in our economy. So they're actually beating us on trade when we have the advantage. And I'll throw this out there. Do you remember when China manipulated their currency drastically? What happened to their ports? You saw 3 major explosions on the internet. They went away and nobody talked about it, but I know exactly what those explosions were. I don't mean to sound like a conspiracy theorist, but if China manipulates their currency, which affects their trade immensely in their favor against us, and all of a sudden 3 of their biggest ports blow up in an explosion, you got to ask questions. So anyway, Trump is addressing the trade deficit and many issues that would affect our economy positively, but he has to understand, like Bernie has to understand, his policies would make the U.S. unable to compete. It's going to help a couple of people here in the country if we were to raise minimum wage to 15. It would help a little bit of people, and his policies would help some people, but at the expense of the country's competitiveness with other countries. So his policies are not realistic. It's like if somebody is like sick and dying and he rushes over to the person, he says, "Oh my God," and then starts scratching his head. It's like he can't do anything for the person. He's compassionate, but he can't do anything for the person. He's ineffective. That's why I think Bernie Sanders is a loser. I don't even want to go into this any further because I just don't think he's important. I think Hillary Clinton on the Democrat side will beat him, and I think Trump in a general election will beat him. I could be wrong. Maybe the public got a taste of socialism and wants more. I don't know. But either way, I don't like him. I don't like the guy. I don't look up to the guy. I have people around me for my entire life that are more successful, more competent than him. I will never look up to such a guy. I think that he's a good, kind heart, but there are plenty of kind hearts that are more effective and more successful, and that's why I can't support Bernie Sanders. Anyway, it's Drew here. I'm out. You guys have a wonderful day.